Hey, DJ, I've been loving that new She-Hulk show. It's so great. There's an after-credits scene where Megan Thee Stallion shows up and they start twerking. It's hilarious. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
No? That makes me so angry. I could just...
We're a couple of guys who like to watch movies, cinema nerds who made it our duty to make a show where we break down, discuss, and review. We're the men who watch movies.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Men Who Watch Movies. My name is Alec.
And my name's DJ the Movie Man Wagner, also known as the COE.
The chairman of entertainment. The one and only.
The one and only, the Men Who Watch Movies.
Definitely. And we're here to bring you another amazing episode.
A special edition.
We're going to talk about... Go ahead.
Hulk.
The Hulk. But not just any Hulk. We're talking about the one with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, the amazing TV movie, The Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, da da da.
I love that little ditty. What was that little ditty there?
Dun, dun, da, da.
Was that the Hulk? That's a Hulk theme. But first, before we get into all of that, we're going to do what we normally do, and let's get into a little bit of movie news.
This week in movie news. Yeah.
All right, for this week in movie news, we have plenty going on in the world of movies. First, Dan Lin. He was supposed to be the new head of DC over at Warner Brothers. He is no longer in the running for that position. Apparently, he was set to take charge of DC Comics and all the movies they got going on. He's supposed to be their Kevin Feige. You heard about that, right? We talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
I believe in one of the previous This Week in Movie News episodes. Yep. But apparently, he's dropped out due to prior commitments to his production company. Now, his company is called Rideback, and they produced a lot of good films. They've done Lego Movie, they've done It, and then most recently they did that comedy movie Easter Sunday. What do you think about that? It's another
they're really awesome.
For Warner Brothers.
It's awesome. Warner Brothers is so awesome. They've been around since what? Years
they've been around
and years.
For a long time, but lately. Lately, they've been, faltering a lot. I feel like their direction is all over the place, and this does not help at all. This is kind of another setback. They were hoping to get their, shit on track, and now they have to go searching for another leader for their, DC movies. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm still hoping they can pull it together and,
I hope
do the DC characters justice. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully they can find.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I hope that the new Penguin spinoff is going to be on HBO Max soon.
Yeah, that's still happening. I've been waiting. We haven't heard much about it, so hopefully we hear more soon. Ever since the Batman came out, and we heard about that spinoff, I've been eager to see it. I bet it's going to be great. They've been putting up a lot of good stuff on HBO Max. So
yeah, it's going to be really, really good.
Definitely. Moving on. Now, I don't know if y'all have heard, there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes of the movie Don't Worry, Darling, with the director, what the hell's her name? I'm drawing a blank here. Olivia Wilde. It's been a wild ride.
It has been a wild ride.
I'd be here all day. But the latest stuff that's going on in the news, apparently there's video that surfaced that looked like the star of the movie, Harry Styles, spit on co-star Chris Pine. They were at the screening, I believe, of the film, and he goes to sit next to him, and it looks like he leans over and just spits in his lap, and Chris Pine just kind of stops what he's doing, and he looks very awkward. But apparently... Yeah, but apparently the story has evolved now, and Chris Pine's representative said that that's not what happened at all. Apparently, that's a bunch of bullshit. Of course, the internet.
And it is.
You can't trust anything on the internet.
Well,
but many of us online were examining the footage, like the Zapruder film. It reminds me of that episode of Seinfeld. Remember when they were trying to figure out who hocked the loogie or something like that? It
my
was.
favorite episode.
Oh, really?
It's also with the junior mint also.
But it reminded me of that because we were trying to examine the film. Like, is there spit coming out of his mouth? I can't see. And it was just this whole thing. And it was a bunch of, it's stupid, but it was kind of funny. But apparently that never happened. So the representatives said that they talked to Variety, and they said, just to be clear, Harry Styles did not spit on Chris Pine. There was nothing but respect between these two men, and any suggestion otherwise is a blatant attempt to create drama that simply does not exist. What do you think about all this? I know it's stupid.
I think it's a bunch of holy moly.
Bunch of hooey. Yeah,
It's a bunch of
dumb.
nonsense.
It's dumb, but it's kind of fun to see
Yeah.
all the drama going behind the scenes and whatnot.
Yeah, so it is what it is.
There's been a lot of drama with this film.
Stuff together.
Yeah, there's been a lot of drama with this film. I don't know if you've heard about any of it. But don't worry, darling. It's set to premiere on September 23rd. Yeah, and there's this whole like lineage of crap that's been going on. I remember hearing about Olivia Wilde. She got delivered like custody paperwork at some like a press event. Because she was married to Jason Sudeikis and they got divorced, and then she got served custody paperwork for her kids. I don't know if they have multiple kids. And then she was embarrassed on stage. And then on top of that, Shia LaBeouf was supposed to star in that movie with Florence Pugh. And he apparently he was being toxic on set, and supposedly Olivia Wilde had fired him. But then he came out later saying that that's bullshit, that he left on his own accord because he wasn't gelling with everybody. And I think Florence was uncomfortable with him there. So he left, and he actually has video proof that Olivia Wilde asked him to come back and that she didn't fire him. She wanted him to come back and work out things. And then I almost choked on my own spit. And then on top of that, Olivia Wilde ended up replacing him with her boyfriend, Harry Styles. And it's just this bunch of crazy stuff going on. I don't know. If this situation has taught me anything, is that most celebrities are insufferable and annoying.
But they're always good.
But not all of them. There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of good celebrities out there.
Russell Crowe?
I guess. I don't know. Wasn't there some kind of controversy? I don't know. I don't want to get into that. Not to get too off topic. We're going to stay on the rails here as much as we can.
Exactly. Movie fans, don't worry.
And it doesn't look like it's getting too good of reviews at the moment. Apparently, Don't Worry, Darling currently has a 43% rating on Rotten Tomatoes from critics.
I actually saw it. I saw the clip in theaters.
The trailer. You saw the trailer.
I saw the trailer of it, and I'm like, what?
It's like a Stepford Wives type of situation, right?
Fuck is going on? I'm just watching it in theaters because I go to movies with my dad, of course. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, so it's like a Stepford Wives kind of thing, right? It takes place in the 50s and something weird's going on.
I mean, it's just so different, but I'm glad to do something different.
We'll see. I mean, it only has 37 reviews at the moment on Rotten Tomatoes, so
a lot.
The rating could definitely go up, and then audience scores, a lot of times differ wildly from critic scores. So we'll see. Only time will tell. So
yep.
No more about this stupid drama. Next up, Anna Kendrick is set to make her directorial debut in the upcoming film Dating Game. I don't know if you've researched a lot about serial killers.
Oh, no, I haven't. I think it's grisly stuff.
I'm into all that. I watch a lot of documentaries and whatnot. Don't judge me. I'm living my life. Anyway, apparently the movie is a thriller that chronicles the real life story of Cheryl Bradshaw, who in the 1970s goes on the show The Dating Game, and she happens to win a date with Rodney Ancala, who's a serial killer. I don't know if you've heard that. It's an actual true story. It was bizarre.
I have not heard about it, but I've seen some documentaries, but I'm like,
Yeah, I watch a lot of those documentaries. I've seen ones on Gacy and on, what's his face, Bundy, and It's interesting to me. I don't know. There's a bunch of psychopaths,
stuff. It's just, really, really good, very, very,
So
it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. I'm very interested in this. It sounds very. It could be very great. We'll see. And Anna Kendrick doing her first directing job. We'll see how that goes. Next up. Recently, just this past weekend, Labor Day weekend, they had National Cinema Day where they were charging $3 for tickets. You said you went to see a movie. Did you get the $3 ticket price?
I don't know. I think I did. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So they were doing $3 tickets to promote, going back to the cinema. Everyone's still a little weary. Then, the movies aren't once. I'm tripping up on my words here.
Well, they weren't as once as
they're
they
not
were,
as strong
but
as they used to be.
Still awesome.
Yeah, there you go. You said it better than I did. So they're trying to promote getting back to the cinemas and whatnot, and it was a success. Over 8 million people participated in National Cinema Day, and apparently among the movie scene, Top Gun is still going strong. People just love this movie and nostalgia and whatnot.
That nostalgia fever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it hit a new milestone. It reached 700 million domestically. Now it actually puts it ahead of Black Panther in the box office. And then trailing behind that is the re-release of Spider-Man No Way Home, the more fun stuff version. I wanted to see it, but then I heard that they included some interesting scenes, but not the ones I wanted to see. I was hoping they would put back in the scene that they cut of Tobey Maguire fighting Willem Dafoe.
I have no idea, but it was like...
I wanted to see a rematch, and the fact that that's not in there, spoiler alert, I don't want to see it now. Maybe if they release it on DVD or something.
So you need to do like a Sinister Six movie. I've been waiting for that, and I've just been waiting for it.
This is the closest that we got.
Yeah,
and it was good, but I want to see the real Sinister Six. So we'll see. I don't know what they have planned.
Yeah.
They're too busy working on El Muerto and
doesn't make any sense.
Madame Web and whatnot. No Way Home, the more fun stuff version, it added an additional 6 million over Labor Day weekend to the overall total. So a lot of people seeing movies and whatnot. Well, I believe that brings us to a wrap on This Week in Movie News.
Yep.
Now, let's get on to the show.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about Hulk a lot lately. Like I said, I've been watching She-Hulk. I think it's great. Go ahead and check it out. It's fun. A lot of people are complaining about its silliness. People are saying that, Marvel is played out now. Whatever. I'm having fun with it. I don't give a shit what people think.
I don't either.
And I think it's fun.
I love Marvel.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
And its glory.
Yeah, definitely. But definitely give it a watch. It's good for a laugh, and there's a lot of great cameos in there. I won't spoil anything for you, but just know that Megan Thee Stallion is in there, and they twerking at the end of the episode. I love that shit. So I thought it was hilarious. And it got me thinking about the Hulk in general. And, I wanted to start off, watching some other Hulk media, and that brought me to The Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Oh.
Now it's
what a good movie.
Of course, the original Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, and Bill Bixby as not Bruce Banner, David Banner, and that's a whole interesting story in and of itself. Do you know that story? Why they named him David?
They twisted that. I don't know why, but
yeah, I know why, and it's
they should have called him Bruce Banner.
Yeah, probably a lot of you out there know this story already if you're fans of Marvel and whatnot. But they named him David Banner because they thought the name Bruce sounded gay. That's the true story.
What?
That's just stupid. Like.
Oh.
Yeah. Things have changed so much nowadays.
Well, it is what it is. Art imitates life, and life imitates art.
Yeah, sometimes much to our chagrin. But anyway, so that's the true story. They changed his name, and he's David Bruce Banner now. I think Bruce is his middle name.
Yeah.
So anyway, David Banner, played by Bill Bixby.
The great thespian himself.
Yeah, exactly. This is, I believe, the second. So this is a TV movie. I believe this is the second one. The first one was, I believe, The Return of the Incredible Hulk, right?
Yeah. What's
interesting about these TV movies is that it's like, I believe it's like the first live action crossover movies, right? Because they took, the premise from the original Hulk TV series, and they started adding other Marvel characters in there. So I believe it was the Return of the Incredible Hulk, had Thor in it, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to see it.
I haven't seen that one yet. Well, I kind of want to see it just for shits and giggles.
But I don't know.
The Trial of the Incredible Hulk is another big landmark because it has a couple of Marvel characters in there. It has Daredevil, which I thought was relevant because She-Hulk, Charlie Cox is making his triumphant return in the suit in She-Hulk. He's going to be appearing as Daredevil. We saw him in Spider-Man No Way Home as Matt Murdock once more, confirming his return to the MCU. And now we're going to see him back in the Daredevil suit in She-Hulk. But in the Trial of the Incredible Hulk, we see Matt Murdock and Daredevil. So they've teamed up in this way before, the MCU. And of course, we get a wonderful cameo. I believe it's his first. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken. I forgot to do research on this before the podcast, but I believe this is Stan Lee's first cameo in a Marvel Marvel project.
It is.
Like actually
he's
being
young
on screen.
And he's talented.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace, good sir.
Definitely, and we miss him a lot. But he was sitting right there in the what do you call it?
Jury seat.
Not the audience. Yeah, the jury. I was going to call him the audience, like Lewis Tully. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience. Anywho, not to get too off topic.
Not to get too off topic.
But yeah, this was an interesting one. Now, it basically follows the same premise of the 70s TV show, right? Where David Banner is kind of drifting from town to town. He's a lost soul.
He has a bit of a beard.
Yeah.
Shave.
He's trying to find a cure. It's kind of like what they started to follow in
Edward Norton Hulk.
In the Ed Norton Hulk, and even in the one with Eric Bana.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah, where he really became like a lost kind of drifter type. And then they even carried it into the Avengers. And when we saw Mark Ruffalo, he was kind of living alone, trying to find a cure, just trying to stay away from people. He didn't want the military to get hold of his
I still think Mark Ruffalo was the best Hulk ever.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
believe he's a scientist? Well, Mark Ruffalo, he just brings it on.
Oh yeah. I think each of the actors brings their own different kind of flavor to
They're
it.
both interpretation.
Oh, yeah.
But I still think Mark Ruffalo was the best Hulk ever. I still think Edward Norton is the best Hulk ever. I still think Eric Bana is the best Hulk ever. I still think Lou Ferrigno is the best Hulk ever.
You're so positive. I like it. And we need positivity like you. There's so much bullshit on the internet, Anyway, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought here. I'm getting off topic in my brain here. But yeah, so they kind of kept the whole drifter theme. He's trying to he's moving on from town to town. Now, I haven't seen the TV show in a while, but wasn't that the premise? Like he was going from town to town, trying to find a cure, and then he would encounter problems, and the Hulk would pop out and beat up people.
Yeah, I like that.
He would move on to the next town or whatnot.
There was one episode, I forget what it was called, but Ernie Hudson was in there.
I love seeing him and everything.
Shaved head.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think he wasn't that for a movie or something, or was it just a style at the time?
It was a style at the time.
Anyway, so the movie,
the
the Trial of the Incredible Hulk follows that whole premise. He's kind of drifts into. He's in when we first meet him. He's in this town. It's like a rural town. He's working. I don't know what he's doing. Some kind of landscaping. He's like muddling around in the dirt, digging ditches or something. And then his coworkers, I don't know. They're being like dicks to him. I don't know. Like they shove him in the mud. They're being assholes. They're really testing his ability to hold in his anger. And luckily, he doesn't turn into the Hulk and trash them. But they're just being like assholes. They're like knocking him down in the dirt for no reason. What was that about?
That was like weird, but not to get too off
their
topic.
asses, but he's trying to hold it in. I think the person that he's staying with is like this farm lady, and I'm sure he doesn't want to destroy her farmhouse or whatnot. So he decides to leave the building that he was renting. The lady tries to convince him to stay, but he's heading off to the big city, New York, where the Hulk belongs. Of course, in Marvel Comics, everything pretty much takes place in New York, and it's good to see him headed back to the city. She tries to warn him that that's not a good place to go, but he's like, hey, I forget, he said something, but he's like, I got to go somewhere, right? And so he heads up to the city. Next, we meet Matt Murdock, who's getting ready for the day. He's you can see he's pulling out some stuff in the closet. I like what he's like pulling out a shirt, right, and like a shoebox almost falls on him.
And he catches it, or he
like karate chops it. He's like, whoa!
Wow, he's like
and he like karate chops the box because
he's
he has
awesome.
his senses. He has superpowers, but of course, we who are fans of Marvel Comics know
natural radar sense.
they're trying to for the average everyday watcher, I'm sure they were trying to slowly introduce us into the fact that he has powers. But yeah, he like karate chops that box, and they kind of changed up a little bit of his entourage in this. Of course, in the comic books, and in the subsequent movies and series that we've seen, he has Foggy Nelson is his co-partner in law, and they have the secretary. I can't speak today. Secretary
named
Karen
Krista
Page
Klein.
Well, that's in this movie, so they changed it up.
Yeah.
We see, what's his name? Yeah, Krista Klein is his partner. So she's his partner-in-law, and then the secretary is a dude named Al Pettyman, and he was
former military.
Yeah, he's former military. They kind of razzing him all the time because he's always so proper in speaking in military time, and he's being very formal. At one point, he calls Krista sir. Yes, sir. Oh wait, I mean yes, ma'am. So they're kind of razzing him. He's a little nerdy, but
he's funny.
He's a good guy. He's trying to help out.
Yeah, he's very, very funny.
They keep joking about wanting to fire him and stuff.
He has a good heart.
He's a good heart, definitely.
But still, very, very awesome movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anyway, we go back to the apartment building where David Banner, who's calling himself what?
David Belson.
Belson. So I think that's hilarious that he's trying to disguise himself. So he doesn't even change his first name, but he keeps his name David, and his disguised last name has a B in it. It's like he's not very disguised at all. It's not like he's going around he grew a beard and whatnot, but he's calling himself David Belson. So different from David Banner.
I have no idea why, but it is what it is.
He should have called himself Steve Dudikoff. I don't know. Something totally different. I don't know. I'm not good at making up things on the fly. Anyway, so he's renting this apartment building in New York, and for some reason, I don't know if you got this vibe. I thought the landlord looked like Daniel Day-Lewis from Gangs of New York, a little bit with that mustache.
Oh yeah, I get that little vibes about that.
Yeah. Anyway, they're talking, and he happens to mention the big skyscraper across the street. Now he's in a little shitty part of town, and it's eclipsed by this big, rich tower of wealth and greed. And it's Fisk Tower.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. It's kind of neat seeing. It's almost like a little mini Marvel universe before the MCU.
Oh yeah, very, very different.
Was even a thing. So they're talking about Fisk Tower and how, it's eclipsing the apartment building from the sun. He's like, I used to get the sun all day, and now this building, it's blocking out the light, some rich man's Tinker Toy. And he's like, remember Tinker Toys? And
I do.
Yeah, so that kind of introduces the antagonist of the movie. And we're going to have to eventually face off against Fisk.
John Rice Davies as... The big baddie.
Yeah, as Kingpin. Who played Gimli in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I thought that was an amazing choice, although they made him look like Rufus from Bill and Ted.
They just shaved his beard.
Yeah,
hair,
he would have looked
bald.
epic if they made him bald and had him shave his beard, but he had this weird Rufus, I think he had a ponytail or something, or maybe not, he had his hair slicked back.
Yeah.
But he had the Rufus sunglasses the whole time.
At least he had a suit on.
Yeah, I guess that. But he didn't look like Kingpin. But I think he was a good choice for Kingpin.
But a formal Kingpin, very different.
Yeah.
Very different. Very, very edgy, very comical.
Yeah. I mean, I think he fell in line with what you think would be a Kingpin of crime type character.
Yeah, but he's so different.
But I think he was so different it was because of the visual aspect. And the way they wrote him, too, it was a little weird. He was obsessed with, watching people on the cameras all the time and whatnot. I don't know if that was a thing in the comic books, but... I don't know. Sometimes someone could be in a room with him, and then he would he had his chair facing away from them, and he would just be looking at them on a bunch of TV screens, even though he could just turn around and talk to him in person. He was a weirdo like that. Anyway, not to get too off topic.
Let's get too off topic.
Yeah. Back in Matt Murdock's office, they're talking, with he's talking with his secretary. He's sitting at the window, and she's like, "Can he ask you a question about your site?" And he's like, "Yeah, you have more hang-ups about it than I do. Go ahead." And then she's like, "Why do you stare out the window?" And he's like, "I just like to feel the warmth of the sun." And then he starts asking her, "Is Fisk in his tower today?" And she's like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Someday I'm gonna bring this building down." It shows that
brick by brick.
Yeah, brick by brick.
And it's just insane.
Yeah,
But
and it's funny because Al, he's his secretary. He's just like, "No, actually the building's not made of brick." He's like, "It's just an expression, Al." Poor guy. They just always razzing on him.
The comical stuff.
I guess he's a comic relief or something.
It's just fun.
It just brings up the fact that he knows that they're no good. They're involved with crime, and he wants to bring Fisk and his tower down.
That's who he is. Fisk is like a emotional human, but he's like angry and can't control his temper, and he just,
Are you talking about Fisk?
Yep.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Matt Murdock. I was like, I didn't get that vibe from him at all.
Both of them have skeletons in their closet, and they both are different and unique.
Which reminds me, I need to bring out the skeleton in my closet for Halloween. Anyway, I'm just joking. That was a bad joke. Two men. We focus now on a jewelry store, and two men go in to rob this jewelry store. Dun 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I don't know, for some reason they put on these weird visors. It's like a black mask with no eye hole, or well, at least there are probably eye holes in it, but it's covered by like this weird visor that you can't see through. It just looked weird. I don't know. Weird costuming choice.
Very 80s mask.
Yeah. That's right. This movie was 1989, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And the Kingpin is behind it. He's guiding them via security cameras that they're setting up. It's just weird. He's like talking to him through a little like a headset. Like, go open the vault, blow the vault open, and blah, blah, blah. Go open this drawer and get... So they're after these diamonds that are in these little safe drawer boxes in the vault. And... They steal them, and they do this weird handoff. They hand them off to like a homeless lady, right?
Yeah, and it turns out it was someone else.
Yeah, well, she was involved with Fisk, and then she hands them off to his assistant. What's his name? Edgar, who's basically like in the comics and in the movies and TVs that came afterwards.
Almost like Wesley, but just a little bit more lighter, different.
Yeah, Wesley is his name. So it's pretty much Wesley, but except they named him Edgar for some reason.
Yeah.
And so Edgar takes him back to Fisk, and he has plans with these diamonds, which we'll get into later. Later on, we see Bruce. Actually, his name is not Bruce. David Banner. He gets on the train. And it's kind of neat. Like, as he's getting on the train, before the train arrives, you see briefly on the wall, there's some graffiti that says Daredevil rules. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, it really sets up this in-world universe that
dun, dun,
there's a guy, a vigilante named Daredevil running around. It kind of got me excited. Like, they do a pretty good job of creating this world of vigilante. I almost wish they did a full-on like Marvel universe back then. That would have been cool.
Oh, yeah, it would have been awesome.
Yeah, I know that
fantastic.
For a while they did a live-action Spider-Man series with what's his name? I forget his name.
But didn't they do like a Japanese version of?
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man
and that was a whole
in the
other
70s?
thing. But they actually did an American one where they did it was like a live-action Spider-Man series in the vein of like the Incredible Hulk. That'd have been amazing if they had got a whole universe started and did like. Like kind of what like they're doing now on Disney Plus, or even what CW is doing with the Flash crossovers. Imagine that with all the classic characters with Lou Ferrigno and whatnot. That would have been amazing. Anyway, I thought that was cool. The little graffiti thing with this Daredevil rules. And then so he gets on the train, and he's joined by the two guys who stole the diamonds, and they're skeezes, especially the blonde one. I don't know, I forget their names, but I'll call him Blondie from now on. So Blondie, he's especially devious, and he sees a woman on the train, and he decides to get rapey with her. He's gonna go start flirting with her, and then he even starts like dissing this old man and whatnot, and the old man runs off. I think he's like a homeless guy. And then he continues harassing the woman, and the woman talks to David Banner. She's like, "Hey, can you sit next to me? I don't want this guy talking to me. I'm scared." And at first he does nothing, like a dick face. Like he should have gone and helped her out, at least sat next to her. I know he doesn't want to like trigger his anger and whatnot. He doesn't want to turn into the Hulk, But he could at least helped her out by sitting next to her. And then anyway, he doesn't do anything. And the guy sits next to her, starts like, saying shit to her, rubbing her hair and like sniffing her hair and shit. Like he's being very inappropriate.
Yep.
And then finally, I think he ends up grabbing her by the hair, and that finally he intervenes. They shouldn't have even got that far. So yeah, he intervenes. And then eventually they get in a fight. He turns into the Hulk. He hulks out.
Yep.
Which is what we've been waiting for in a Hulk show. And it's epic. I love that. I love the way they do it. It's very primitive, but it's fun. I like do you like that when he hulks out?
Oh yeah, it's fun.
You see a close up of his shirt and it rips, and you see like green muscles through it, and then his eyes. I like and they use that visual in all the movies and shows after this, where his eyes they turn. I think in this one they turn like really bright white or something like that. But in the other ones it's like a glowing green. But you see his eyes, they start glowing, and he starts ripping his shirt and his shoes rip. And then finally he turns into Lou Ferrigno Hulk.
Green Hulk, the jolly green giant.
Yeah. I think it's funny that David Banner has a beard and the Hulk doesn't. Where does this beard go?
I have no idea.
It's like Optimus Prime's trailer, like when he transforms.
Transform.
His trailer just goes MIA, and then when he transforms back, his trailer just reappears. It's very much like that. Not to get too off topic here.
Not to get too off topic.
So he's fighting the two guys, and then the lady. What's the lady's name?
Let's see. Her name is.
Anyway, I forget. But the lady, she gets pistol whipped and she gets a concussion. And
Ellie Mendez
gets pistol whipped. Poor lady. She just wanted to ride the train. And in the struggle, the gun goes off and it shoots a poor old man outside of the train. And he gets killed. He dies. There's a guy that dies. What the fuck? I didn't expect that. And then. And anyway, so I think the two guys get away, right? And then the police show up. The Hulk runs away, and they go chasing after him. And then David Banner transforms back into himself, and eventually the police pick up David Banner because the lady Ellie accuses him of being the perpetrator, saying that he beat up those two guys and he shot the old man. But we find out it's because Fisk made her do it. He's threatening her and saying that if you implicate my men, then you're going to be dead. So he's basically coerced her into lying and saying that David Banner was the perpetrator. And so he finds himself in quite of a pickle.
In a real pickle.
The biggest pickle.
The biggest
we had ever
dilemma
been
ever.
Anyway, he gets put in jail. He gets picked up by the cops. And he's in big trouble. Yeah, so anyway, moving on. Murdoch goes and visits him in the lockup. He tells him that the two men that he's accused of attacking were involved in crimes, and he believes that they're partnered with Fisk and his crime operations. And he's kind of confused at the situation because he's hearing a couple of different things. And, Banner saying that the two men attacked Ellie Mendez and shot the old man. And then Matt's trying to help him, but he's hearing that Ellie is accusing him of attacking the two men. And Banner is confused. He's like, no, I was trying to help. This is, sorry, I heard it really loud in my microphone. I'm trying to get passionate here and trying to invoke the spirit of the story, right?
Yep.
But he's like, no, I tried helping. I didn't attack them. And so he's like, you know what? I believe you, because he has like that sense, right? He can hear the heartbeat. I'm glad they included that in this version, because he's like, you know what? I believe you. I believe that you didn't do it. But in order to help you, I need to know who you are. You just kind of drifted into town. Like, you have no family. You have no record of, who are you? And he just kind of was like, I'm just someone who wants to stay buried. And he's like, why? Like, and then he doesn't want to divulge any more into his story. He doesn't want people finding out he's the Hulk. But Matt Murdock is on his side. He's going to help him figure out what the fuck's going on.
Dun, dun, dun.
And he's like, can I take a photograph of your face? And that involves him just like touching his face.
That's
so he can
weird.
feel what he looks like. Yeah, it's a little weird. But I mean, he's blind. So
it is what it is. Yeah.
So he kind of remembers his face by touching it. And he said, don't look sad. We can help each other, David. Have a little faith. So he's going to get to the bottom of this. He is Matt Murdock, the amazing lawyer from Hell's Kitchen. Now Murdoch talks to Ellie. She's maintaining her story that Banner is the one who attacked those men, attacked her, and killed the old man.
But it's a load of nonsense.
Yeah, it's a load of nonsense. It's a bunch of bullshit. A bunch of baloney. Yeah, it seems that Matt is trying to get down to the truth. He knows that she's lying because of course, he can tell by their heartbeat when they're lying, and you can tell she's nervous. Like she doesn't want him getting to the bottom of it, because if she exposes the truth, then that puts her at risk, and Fisk is going to murder her. So she's worried for her own safety, her family's safety, and whatnot. But Matt, knowing that there's still more information that he needs to get out of her, leaves a card with the nurse, and the nurse steals it.
And of course, dun dun dun. Turns out the nurse is bad.
Yeah, she's working with Fisk. He has his fingers and everything, that badass bitch. Anyway, Fisk, put that nurse there to watch over her, and she steals the card, and she goes and calls, I keep wanting to say Wesley. What's his name?
Edgar.
She calls Edgar and tells him that, I think she hasn't said anything yet, but I think she's ready to squeal, and we should finish her off. So later on, the nurse, she actually gets like a syringe and tries to assassinate her with that evil hoe. I don't know. Sorry, I don't.
It is what it is.
Anyway, she tries to kill the lady because they think she's gonna talk, but little does she know, Daredevil is out there, and he's going to protect her. He emerges from the window and starts beating the shit out of the nurse. Oh, sorry, I'm really loud. I can hear myself. But he starts beating the shit out of the nurse. And then, remember what happens? What does he do?
Oh, he tripped her and she fell into the...
Oh, yeah. And then he tripped her. He threw her into like a pile of like equipment, and she gets like electrocuted.
And she just ran and tripped over it.
Did she die?
Yep.
That was brutal.
Yeah, that was
he's just
brutal.
as brutal as Ben Affleck's Daredevil, who let that guy fall in front of the train and he didn't save him.
Hey, that light at the end of the tunnel, guess what? That's not heaven. I'm killing you, I'm killing you. That's the C train.
Yeah, I mean, that was as brutal as something.
He kicked her into a pile of things and she got electrocuted to death.
Yep.
That made me actually laugh out loud. I don't know. I thought that was funny. It's okay because that nurse is evil. She deserved it. So the lady is like, she tried to kill me, and then the Daredevil leaves out of the window, and a bunch of the nurses and staff come in to help her, and then and she said, So she tells the staff, she tried to kill me, and he helped me, and she points to the window. And then one of the staff goes, Daredevil. I thought that was epic. I don't know. So far, I just, at this point in the movie, I was just enjoying it, going along for the ride. It's a little cheesy, but it's fun. I think it was fun, right? Fisk has a talk with Edgar regarding the Daredevil situation, because they've heard whispers of the Daredevil.
And of course, he says, "Come in, Edgar. I can see the stress on your face."
Yeah. He's like, are you getting enough sleep? Yeah, so they're worried about the Daredevil situation because he's the one that can take them down. And so they come up with this plan to kidnap Ellie as a bait to trap the Daredevil. And they're gonna do a snuff film to show his partners in crime. Well, not his partner, but like other crime bosses that he was the one who got rid of the threat to their organization.
But of course, doesn't happen.
Well, let's not get into that yet. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. But yeah, so he wants to film a snuff film so he can show all the other crime bosses who's the big baddie in town. Look at what I did. I got rid of the bastard that was trying to foil our plans.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm the goat in this town. And he also wants Belson, as they know him. But when I say Belson, it's Banner. David Banner. They want Belson dead because he was there and he could implement the two guys involved in the jewelry heist. And he's like, if they could tie those two men back to me, then I'm screwed. So he's like, kill Belson. So he has a shiv delivered to Belson's cellmate, Banner's cellmate, and they plan on stabbing him and killing him. But luckily,
He gets up.
yeah. Like he missed it by that much.
Missed it by that much.
So the guy's about to shiv him. He's in a bunk bed situation, and the guy below him. Who'd you say he looked like?
He looked like Frohickey a little bit.
From X-Files. He did. A lot of it. He looked like...
just a little bit of it. But, it is what it is, That creative stuff is just so awesome.
Yeah, he looked like one of them. But yeah, he just as he shoves the shiv above him into the bunk bed where Banner is sleeping, he gets up because they say, hey, you have somebody that wants to see you. And they call him over to cell 14 where Deputy Chief... Tedeli or something like that. His name. Tendeli meets him. He says that so he's one of the good cops in town because there's a lot of corrupt cops, and he's one of the good ones. He's essentially like the Gordon. Say if this was Gotham, he's Gordon. And he works with Daredevil. He's in close contact with Daredevil. He actually has a way of contacting him. He's very much the Gordon in the situation.
Through an untraceable phone.
Yeah, exactly. So he says that Ellie was almost killed by the nurse that was watching over her, and that Banner may be a target as well. Because he's like, if he's trying to get rid of her, he's probably going to try and get rid of you. So he's like, watch your back, man. He knows that something bigger is going on. He's saying the city has a disease, and he wants to get rid of it. Because there's a lot of corruption and crime, and this is his town, and he's going to take care of it. And he wants to get to the bottom of it. So that's his main goal. He loves the city, and like a good cop should. Now back at the I think they're at the hospital still at this point. Either that or they got her out. I forget. Did they get her out to a safe house or something? I don't know. But,
in a way.
Yeah, Ellie calls Murdoch and says that she's ready to talk. Beforehand, she was, her lips were sealed. She was trying to protect herself and her family, but kind of all that's out of the window now. Out of blah, 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 blah. I'm tripping over my words. All of that's out of the window now because they tried to kill her anyway. She didn't say a word, and they still tried killing her. So she's like, you know what? I'm going to talk because at this point they're threatening my family. They're threatening me. So I might as well just spill the beans, and says that Banner is innocent and that, she was lying to save herself. Murdoch comes to pick up Ellie, and it's kind of interesting. It reminds me, I know this is before Silence of the Lambs, but it reminds me of that scene in Silence of the Lambs where it's like a mislead. You know how you have the agents going to the door. You think they're going to go in and catch Buffalo Bill, and it turns out they did a little camera trickery, and it was actually, what's her name? Jodie Foster's character.
Jodie Foster.
Clarice. It was actually Clarice that ended up at Buffalo Bill's door. And then she was in danger. And it was like this moment where they did a little bait and switch on the camera situation, and it created this great tension. It reminded me of that a lot, but this was before Silence of the Lambs. So you see, what's his name? Murdoch and a nurse going to get Ellie, and it pans over to Ellie, or it cuts over to Ellie, and then it cuts back over to them walking. You think they're about to meet up, but it turns out someone else is approaching Ellie, because the camera, when it cuts over to Ellie, it's kind of dollying into her as if someone's walking up to her, and they keep cutting back to Murdoch, and it makes you think that, oh, it's because Murdoch's walking up to her, but no, it was someone else, because you see her face change, and it looks like she's worried, like, who the fuck? Oh no, like they're coming after me. And then when it cuts back to Murdoch and the nurse, they walk up to her room, and the door's open, and there's no guard. And yeah, that's right. She is at the hospital at this point, and there's no guard. They're like, what the heck? There's supposed to be a guard here, and they look, she's gone. So it was a little bait and switch on the camera movements there. They made it think that Murdoch was approaching her when it was someone there to kidnap her. So that was a neat little moment. I thought that was very well done.
Very well done indeed.
Yeah. And they blindfold Ellie and take her to Fisk Tower. And this is the scene I was talking about where like Fisk is watching her through the camera.
Yeah, very, very odd.
Yeah, he's for some reason he's very obsessed with cameras, and I don't know. Like he has like I said, there's like a wall of old school like TVs, like those radiation tube TVs.
Oh yeah,
maybe about like 6 of them stacked up on top of each other, and then he's just watching her through the security cameras, even though he's literally like sitting there, and she's right behind him. He has his chair facing away from her. He decides to watch her on the cameras because he's like, the cameras don't lie, or some shit like that. Very, very odd fellow, would you say?
Oh, indeed. Very, very odd. Very, very different, but still John Rhys Davies pulls it off, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So he's telling her kind of his plan, how he's going to use her as bait. And she's like, she says something like, I think it's not fair that I have a right to defend myself on that train. I shouldn't even be in this situation. I just tried to defend myself because, I didn't want to, I felt like I didn't deserve to be approached like that, or something to that effect. And then he goes on to say something like, I'm just here to borrow you from your life, Miss Mendez. And when I'm done, I'll put you back. But he has no intention of putting her back. I think he mentioned something about I think he's going to kill her, because he said like, oh, that's such a pity. She would have made such a great teacher, because I think she was going to be like a teacher, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like he says like, oh, she would have made such a great teacher, implying that he's not going to put her back, that he's going to get rid of her. That bastard. Anywho, he plays a pretty great villain, good old Gimli.
Yeah.
Anyway, back at the prison, Murdoch is trying to get Banner to go on the stand because he can implement. I think I'm saying it right. Implicate. Thank you. He can implicate the two guys that were in the train that night, tie them to Fisk through the diamond heist. But Banner doesn't want to go on the stand because he's afraid that being in that high like stress situation.
Hulk out.
Yeah, he's gonna. He's afraid he's going to Hulk out in court and hurt people. He even has a dream, which kind of it threw me for a loop, because I've seen that scene on YouTube before.
Oh yeah.
At the courthouse, and I thought it was real.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Turns out it was just a dream, because he was afraid he was going to Hulk out. It was an epic scene though. He's in court, and then it cuts to everyone yelling at him, which.
And it has a Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that right now. But it kind of threw me off, because at first I thought it was real, and everyone is yelling at him. Like the lawyers are yelling at him, the judge is getting in his face, answer the question, answer that. I thought it was real at first, but then I was like, wait, this seems a little extreme. Like they wouldn't yell at him like that in court. But I was like, it's just a show, maybe. But it should have tipped me off that was a dream sequence. But they were getting really intense with him, and his eyes turn, they start glowing white, and then he starts turning into the Hulk, and he fucks up some bailiffs. He body slams one of them into a desk.
Yep.
Shatters the desk, and I think another one pepper sprays him, but of course it doesn't work on the Hulk. It only temporarily stops him, and he fucks up that bailiff too. I think that's the one that he body slams, in fact. And he's just like tipping over, he tips over like the jury stand. But yeah, before all the Hulk out scene, you're right. There was a Stan Lee cameo, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think that might be one of his first cameos. I don't know if he cameoed as anything else before, but of course, we know he went on to be the king of cameos.
Yep.
Only second to probably
he is the
Bruce
most
Campbell.
legendary person ever, and he will be missed.
Oh yeah, it was great seeing him in this. I miss the Marvel movies nowadays not having Stan Lee there to kind of tie everything together. But yeah, it was funny seeing him there. I wish they had more to do. I wish they made him like the judge or something. That'd have been fun. But he was just one of the jury members. He was kind of like freaking out because they were. The Hulk started hulking out and whatnot, and then he tipped over like the jury stand. I wish the scene would have been sped up a little bit more, because they like slowed it down, I guess, to make it more dramatic. But it just kind of lagged on a little bit. I wish they would have. I don't know. For some reason, a lot of the action scenes with the Hulk, they like slow it down. I don't know. It was a little weird for me, but it was good. I like my favorite part was the body slam. What did you think?
Yeah, that was very, very epic.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a real thing.
What do you think about
a dream?
Yeah. What do you think about that old school Hulk makeup?
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, for what it was pretty good. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the mullet. I think they could have done out with the mullet. I guess it was the style at the time. I don't know.
Maybe.
You can see some of the makeup is wearing away, like around his neck, and then around his fingertips, like he has pink fingers, and they could have really did some touch-ups there. It was a little, it kind of took me out of it a bit. For what it is, he's a classic. He can't replace. It's hard to replace Lou Ferrigno in our minds. Remember we met him. We met him at Comic-Con one year.
Oh yeah,
you were there.
Yep, and I remember that he was.
He was nice. Nice. We both got an autograph. I was gonna bring it, but I totally forgot. and maybe I'll pop it up on my Instagram and my Twitter and whatnot. Show you all my my autograph from Lou Ferrigno. Humble brag. Hashtag humble brag. But yeah, so that was a great scene with the Hulk out. But then he wakes up in prison, and he it turns out he wasn't in court. He was just dreaming about it. But I think that the stress of that dream made him Hulk out, because he wakes up in a cell and then he just hulks out for no reason. It's not like he gets hurt or anything. He didn't seem that much in distress, but he goes over to the sink to wash his face, and then his eyes start glowing. He turns into the Hulk, and he breaks out of prison. And everyone's like, all the prisoners are like freaking out, yeah. And then Tendelli and Matt Murdock are investigating the aftermath. There's like a big hole in the cell, and then the brick wall to the prison's broken, and they're trying to figure out what the heck's going on. They figure out that that Banner, or whatever they call him, in Belson, as they know him.
David Belson.
They figure out he's the only one missing, and people reported seeing a green guy, just like they did at the scene of the train incident. And so he figures that the green guy has something to do with Belson, and they're all working together. But little does he know that the green guy is Banner, Belson, whatever the fuck you want to call him. And Murdoch needs help to find Banner. And he calls Al, and he has him trying to figure out, because earlier he was talking about how he lives in a shitty apartment building that's eclipsed by Fisk Tower. So what is he uses, like a ruler or something, right?
A ruler and a map.
Yeah, so he gets a map of the city, and he puts a ruler where Fisk Tower is, and then he shines the light where the sun should have been, and he's able to see like where the shadow is cast. It's a very flimsy way of finding out where he lives, but it worked. It worked for the purposes of this show.
Oh, yeah.
And he saw where the shadow was. He figured, okay, he must live somewhere here. He goes to the apartment building as Daredevil. And so Daredevil, actually, I think he gets help from an informant, right? That's where we meet
Tendelli.
Well, no, he meets up with Turk.
Oh, he meets with Turk.
Which is actually a character from the comics, and we see him in and also in the Daredevil TV series.
Played by Rob Morgan.
Yeah, so we meet up with Turk, and he's basically like a criminal informant, and he's talking to him. At first, he doesn't want to work with him. He actually brings out a knife, like a, what do you call it, like a butterfly knife or something like that. He's like, that's a noisy knife, because his ears are sensitive, you know? And so he basically gets some information to kind of hone in. He knows the general location of where Belson might be, but he's getting information from Turk about like where the specific location can be, and he gets some information that helps him lead to the apartment. So he goes to Banner's apartment dressed as Daredevil, and he shows up, and at first Banner's skeptical, like he doesn't want to go with him. He's like, what if you're one of the people that's trying to kill me? Because he's trying to get him to go and help him, but then in order to get his trust, what does he do?
He, Daredevil reveals his identity to him.
Yeah, he takes off his mask and shows him that, hey, you can trust me. I'm Matt Murdock, and he's the only one that he reveals himself to. I'm surprised he did it, because he's very secure about his identity and whatnot. He doesn't want to divulge, but I guess in order to solve the crime, he's got to do what he's got to do. And I think his main goal is taking out Fisk, and he knows he can get to Fisk through this whole situation. So he risks it for the biscuit, and he reveals his identity. And they go back to Murdoch's apartment. They have a nice little chat. They're just talking about everything. Murdoch tells him about his dad. Banner sees a plaque of Murdoch's dad, from his boxing days. Says that his mom had passed away at a young age before he can remember, and how his dad got involved with the wrong people and they killed him. So that, that kind of informs, his, the reasons why he likes to fight crime so much and whatnot. And he also tells him that when he first started as a lawyer, he heard a good cop speak, which was, Tendelli. And he was
heroic.
Tendelli was doing this speech about how the police force was corrupt, and that, we need good cops, to help combat this situation. And he even suggested that a vigilante was necessary, which is I thought that was kind of interesting, to keep the corruption in check. And he even inspires the name the name Daredevil, because he's like, we need some kind of daredevil to go out there, someone who won't be scared off or intimidated. And so Banner takes that. I mean, not Banner. Murdoch takes that literally, and he becomes a vigilante named Daredevil, which is kind of interesting. And he says that he I think Banner's like, you work with him directly? He was like, kind of, yeah. He keeps in contact with me. He has a way of contacting me. So I thought that it was a very strong parallel to the way I mentioned it before, but the way Batman and Gordon operate. Didn't you kind of get that vibe from that?
Oh yeah, I got a really good vibe about it.
Yeah, it was a very strong Batman vibes for me, which is good. Which I mean, he's very similar to Batman in certain ways, other ways not so much. But he's not a rich billionaire, and he does have powers. So those are some ways he's not like Batman. So don't complain to me when you say how could you compare that to? Anyway, not to get too off topic. So you see, and he's still explaining so that's why they decided to become Daredevil. And he ended up training his body. He's doing all kinds of flippy doos on he has some kind of gymnastic equipment, training his body to the limit. And he's like, when I pushed it to the limit, and I pushed it even further, and he became, just like Batman, he trained to perfection and became Daredevil. He even met up with Tendelli after he first donned the suit, and they just kind of give each other nods, I think, something like that. They can nod at each other like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then he also tells Banner about the incident that blinded him, which I thought it was very comic accurate, right?
Yep.
So what happened in the story that he tells him?
Well, the story, Daredevil tells him about what happened, his father was a boxer, and
But it was I'm talking about the accident with the truck, right? So it was save an old guy or something?
Stuff, splashed into his eye, and it got him blind and whatnot.
Yeah, and then in this one they actually because they keep it pretty much the same origin story as the comics. It was some radioactive goo, he saved an old man or something like that, and then one of the barrels flew off the truck. And then splashed him in the eyes. It was radioactive green goo, just like the comic books. It was kind of cool. They really kept that pretty accurate. But yeah, I like how they did that. And then Banner's checking out his eyes. He's like, yeah, there's no way your eyes can be saved, but he has some abilities. He informs him that he has the ability of super hearing, super touch. He could feel when someone writes on a piece of paper, he can feel the indents and actually feel what's written on the paper. You can hear people's heartbeats. He's telling them all his powers. He's very trusting in Banner. I think he senses the good in him or something. I don't know. Luckily, Banner wasn't a bad guy. He would have been screwed. But yeah, and so Matt wants to know who the Green Man is, but he doesn't want to. But Banner doesn't want to divulge, and he's like, "You're just so alone, man." And then Banner says, "Well, we're both alone." Very deep.
Very deep.
They like to get deep in this one. Matt finds out that from Tendelli, that Turk had informed him that they're holding Ellie at this place called the Web, and then David Banner's like, what can that be? It's maybe some kind of hub. I don't know what could the Web mean. And
it turns out it was an old movie theater called Spiders from Giant Spiders from Mars.
Yeah, because
at the first, old Costco theater.
Yeah, because what's his name? Banner's like, what could the Web mean? Let's think about this. And then friggin' Murdoch's like, giant spiders from Mars. And then Banner's like, what the fuck? He's looking at him like he's insane. Remember? Yeah. He's looking at him like he's crazy. And then he's like, no, the Giant Spiders from Mars was the last movie that they filmed at the studio, Crosgrove Studios. She's probably being held there. So he goes off to go rescue her as Daredevil, and then Banner stays behind. But then turns out that Matt Murdock missed a phone call from Tendelli warning him that he found out that Turk was paid off for that for divulging that information, and that information could be bad, right?
Yep.
So he's worried about him, and so Banner realizes he doesn't get to the phone in time, but he hears the information and he goes off to go save Daredevil because he's in trouble. He's running into a trap, and that will not end well if he doesn't get there on time. So he's running off to the races. So he goes to save what's her face, and then turns out that Kingpin was waiting for him, and then he had some kind of like trap set up, right? What did he have? What was the trap?
It was cameras, noise effects, flashing lights.
Yeah, so he had the cameras there. He was going to film them killing Daredevil, and he had like all these ways of disorienting him, creating confusion. So he had like you said, he had flashing lights, but he didn't know he was blind. So he was kind of trying to throw everything at his senses to throw him off, and then he had people waiting to beat the shit out of him. And then so they put the lady there as bait, and then they had like this huge speakers, I guess, with loud noises, and then of course Daredevil and his sensitive hearing, that was basically like his kryptonite. So lucky for him, he didn't even know that Daredevil had a weakness of sound. He just happened to luck into that one, and Daredevil's disoriented. They beat him to a pulp, and luckily the Hulk shows up, David Banner, and he saves him, right?
Yep.
Then he Hulk out and he starts beating him up.
Yep, he hulks out, he saves the day, and all of a sudden Fisk is chewing on that stuff that he has a remote control. You
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
string.
What is that thing on his head? It looks like he has like some weird like device. I don't know. He's just like a weird version of Kingpin. I don't know. He was wearing some kind of weird headset. Looks like some kind of like spy gear, like those '90s, like early 2000s. You remember those toys, the spy gear, where you could pretend like you're a spy?
Oh yeah, I remember them.
It looks like that. That's what he was wearing. Anyway, he goes to save Matt, and then meanwhile, what's her face? What is her name? I keep forgetting her name. What's the lady's name?
Ellie Mendez.
Ellie's sitting there in the chair, and then she's like freaking the fuck out because not only is like she's being held hostage, and then the Daredevil is getting the shit beat out of him. There's all these loud sounds and noises and bright flashes everywhere, and all of a sudden this dude shows up and turns into a giant green guy, which the one that she saw on the train. She's just flipping her shit. Remember, she's like. The poor lady, she just all this from a train ride home, and she just got involved with this craziness. Anyway, so he saves Matt, and he actually transforms back into David Banner, and then he feels his face, and he's like, "Oh, David, you poor soul." And then they take Ellie back to Fisk Tower when their plan is foiled. That was an amazing scene. What did you think about that? It was a good action scene, right?
It was very good.
What was your favorite part?
Oh, the Hulk saving the day.
Oh yeah. Anytime you get to see Bill Bixby Hulk out is great, and then it's always good to see Lou on screen as the Green Man. Anyway, while mending back at home, Tendelli calls Matt. Not knowing if he's even alive. Some people think that the Daredevil died. Remember those punk kids on the street? And then they ask Tendelli, he's like, "Hey, is it true? Is he dead?" Referring to Daredevil. And then he's like, "I don't know, kid." It's kind of cool that he has like these little groupies running around that love the Daredevil. They're probably the ones that spray painted the wall that we saw earlier. But they have, Daredevil has some fanboys. He's out there doing the dirty work, saving the day, man. What do you think about that?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah. So Tendelli calls Matt because he doesn't know if he's dead or alive. Tells him about the meeting with Fisk and the crime bosses and says that, hey, if you're out there, man, you got to stop them because I don't have anything on these guys on paper.
No warrants, no nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Very different.
Yeah, legally, they're like squeaky clean, but he's like, I know they're doing some shady bullshit, and you're the only one that could take them down. And he's like, I need your help, man. He didn't say it exactly like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it's to that effect, Back at Fisk Tower, Fisk has their failed snuff film edited, so it looks like Daredevil was killed. They cut off the end of the video when the Hulk shows up. And so he's like, I'm just going to show it to them, show him as my proof that he's dead, and I'm the big bad boss who can get rid of our opposition, basically, right?
Yeah, it was like a very, very suspenseful movie, and it was like very, very awesome, and it had all this, special effects, and it was like very, very awesome.
There's
and very different.
well, a lot of it was practical, but there's some special effects I want to talk about at the end of the movie that were a little suspect. They're pretty bad, is what I'm trying to get out.
Yeah, but still, very, very good movie.
Yeah. So now. Basically he's trying to edit the film to make it seem like, he accomplished killing Daredevil. And Fisk, he now wants Miss Mendez killed as well. But Edgar, he's kind of developed feelings for Miss Mendez, right?
Yep.
He doesn't want to kill her. I think he's kind of in love. So Edgar actually goes into Ellie's room where they have her captive, and he asks her, like, hey, say if we were at a bar and I bought you a drink, and then the waiter brought it over and he said that, it was for me, and he looked over and I was sitting in the chair. What would you say? He's asking if she would go out with them, and if in the right situation, if they weren't in this situation. And at first she's like, I would look over and say, hey, he looks like a good guy. I could use some company. But I would be wrong. You're not a good guy. You're a piece of shit. You're a killer, And then he's a little disappointed by that, but then he's like,
sometimes I'm a good guy.
Yeah, and it's exactly.
I save lives.
Yeah. He's like, you people are she's like, you people are killers, and he says, yeah, sometimes we save lives. And he's kind of implying that he wants her to live, so he's letting her know that he's going to try to do what he can to help her survive, even though Fisk wants her dead, because, he wants to tie up all loose ends like a good kingpin would. And then back at Matt's house, he's hesitant to go and help Ellie because he got the shit beat out of him. He's got his confidence is in the toilet, and he doesn't want any help from anybody. Even his partner back at the law firm and his assistant, they're calling him. He's like, no, I'm fine. I don't need to. They want to go see him, but he's like, no, I don't want you to see me. And he's telling David Banner's still there at his house, and he's like, I don't want them to see me like this. He's like, you really need to let people in more. Like, you need to let them help you. He's like, you're lucky. You have people that care about you. I don't got nothing. He's just kind of a drifter at this point, right? He's just like drifting from town to town and whatnot. And then basically he's just trying to coerce him and then give him the encouragement to go back out there and be Daredevil and save Ellie. He doesn't want to keep telling him to shut up or something, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he keeps yelling at him. He's like, shut up, I don't want to do this. And then at one point, he's like, shut up and help me to the gym. Finally, he convinces him, though. He gets back to business. And I almost wish we got like an 80s like action montage sequence of him getting pumped up. I know, that'd be cool. Like, Rocky, they have those montages where he's like training. Or even like in the Karate Kid, where it's like, you're the best around. No one's going to ever keep you down. I wanted one of those. We didn't get that. But we got a little bit of, like, he started training and whatnot. He starts pumping back up, getting ready, getting back in the game so he can save Ellie. Luckily, David Banner, he gave him the pep talk he needed. Because the city needs saving, Ellie needs saving, and we need to get this show back on track. Anyway, so back at the Fisk Tower, Fisk is having his bougie meeting with the kingpins of crime, the bosses from all over the country, and he gives them the scene. I remember you showed me this on YouTube once, but where he gives them the champagne glasses, but there's no champagne in them. What's in the champagne glasses?
A very special kind of ice. Diamonds.
He's so baller that he has a champagne glass full of diamonds. He's like, sorry, we can't drink, but we do have ice. It's special ice. And he pours it out. And like one of the guy's reactions, he's like, thanks, Fisk. And he like pours out the diamonds into his pocket and sits down all confident and whatnot. I don't know. I love that scene. That was great. It shows what a badass he is. But not for long. And he shows the guys the edited snuff film and whatnot, trying to convince them that he's eliminated the issue. But little does he know that Matt and David Banner are infiltrating the building as they speak. They infiltrate the area. They interrogate a guard and whatnot. and they're trying to get like information on where they're being held, right? And they come up on this group of guards, and they try to fight them quietly because they're like, well, we don't want to disturb the bosses, so we got to make this quiet, and we got to finish it before they even know anything's going wrong. And one guy grabs like an axe, and they're trying to fight him and whatnot. That was pretty fun. I don't know. I thought that was hilarious. He wasn't supposed to be, but I don't know. I laugh at weird things sometimes. It's okay. So yeah, so what did you think about that whole scene where he starts to beat up the guards and whatnot? That was pretty funny, right?
Oh, it was badass. Let me tell you, that's something that we have not seen in a movie lately. I'm sure we have.
Yeah.
Of course, Danny, the henchman, gets a little, you know what I mean, inappropriate.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, is that his name, Danny? Yeah. The blonde, the one I keep calling Blondie?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So
or Blondie.
Yeah. Yeah, so Blondie goes off to finish Ellie off. And then but Edgar gets the cojones to not kill her. He refuses to kill her. And then Edgar actually smashes it was like a lamp or a vase or something, right?
It's like a lamp or vase. And it just knocks him out.
Yeah, he knocks out Blondie. I don't know if he kills him, but he knocks him out definitely. And so he's a good guy. Edgar, who knew? Yeah. And then so... what's his name? Kingpin, Fisk. He's showing all the crime bosses the edited snuff film to try and get them to show that Daredevil is officially dead. I did it. I'm the goat here. I'm the captain now. Or something.
I will declare Daredevil officially dead.
And then at that moment, Daredevil he smashes through the screen or something, right?
He smashes the screen like a superhero, and he is a superhero.
It was a little cheesy,
lawyer by day and a vigilante by night.
Yeah. So Daredevil, he starts taking out all the guards. It's funny because he's like fighting them one guard at a time. Like you could tell it was not very well choreographed, but like it's one of those situations where all the guards are standing by as he fights one, and then the next one fights him, and then the next one fights him. But it is what it is. It's a TV movie. What did we expect?
Yeah, it's really, really awesome. It's so awesome, creative.
And I like that he has a nice one-liner that even Arnold Schwarzenegger would be proud of, because he I think at that point he had just saying that he had finished off Daredevil, and he comes up and he interrupts the snuff video, and he's like, intermission. I love that. He's such a sassy bastard. Anyway, he chases Fisk, and he gets up to his roof, and then there's some kind of weird like structure.
Hover.
And it turns out it's disguising some weird hovercraft vehicle of some sort, a really crappy looking one at that.
Yeah,
it must have been the worst effect shot in the whole TV movie. It was very, very poorly executed, but whatever. He floats away off of his ivory tower into the distance and disappears around the buildings and escapes. So I almost feel like they were setting up like a Daredevil TV series or something. I wonder if they planned on continuing it. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, he floats off and escapes, much to their chagrin. But they saved Ellie, and they stopped the crime bosses. I don't know. Did they arrest the crime bosses or something? I don't know.
Maybe, I had no idea, but it was something. It was just something out of this, different genre of a movie, TV series.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, but it was great. It was great entertainment.
They did not arrest Fisk, but there was something about it that was so different.
That's why I almost think
new, so rounded,
fresh,
so different, so fresh, so clean.
I almost feel like they were planning on continuing it, like in some form, maybe doing a Daredevil series where he chases after Kingpin or something. Well, whatever. None of that matters now because we have a new Daredevil series continuing what the Netflix started, and that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to Daredevil Reborn. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But continuing it on with the Hulk, the trial of the Incredible Hulk, Banner and Matt are talking after the aftermath. I believe they go back to Matt's place. And Banner, at this point, he's leaving town again, as the drifter that he is. He tells him that he's kind of contemplated things, and he's going to go off, and he's been neglecting aspects of his life, like his nature as a scientist and his intellect, and he's going to go and continue that and continue to look for a cure and better his life, and he's going to go on and hopefully rid himself of the Hulk. And he's like, I hope, he's talking to Matt, and I think he's saying something like, I hope that you continue to look for fight for justice. And I think he implies that he's going to continue looking for the Kingpin and whatnot, and fight as Daredevil. And he says something I liked a lot. He's like, David Banner's like, I have a brother in the world now. And Matt's like, yes, you do. I thought that was kind of nice. Yeah. And then later on, back at the law firm, he's talking with his secretary, or I guess his assistant, and with his partner. And then his assistant, he's like looking at it.
He's like, Matt, do you see the sky? It's a little different.
Yeah, he's looking at the skyline of the Fisk Tower, and that structure that was encapsulating the shitty hovercraft thing, it's disappeared. And he's like,
and of course, Matt Murdock always says, well, strange things happen in the night.
Yeah. And then I think that was the last line in the movie, right? Or something like that.
That was the last line.
Strange things happen in the night.
That was the last thing, but we did not see the arrest of Fisk. I'm sure he was. I don't know, but he escaped.
We can imagine in our minds that hopefully his shitty hovercraft crashed in the ocean or something. I don't know. That's the way I picture it ending in my mind. I could see it right now. I could see it right now in my mind. Boom. Okay, he's gone. Anyway, not to get too off topic here.
Not to get too off topic.
Oh, so that's the end of the movie. What did you think of it?
Oh, it was awesome. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Me too. I mean, it's a product of his time. It's like I said, it continues, on the 70s Hulk series. At this point, it's 1989. I think they did a good job, continuing that whole story. It felt like just like a long version of one of the episodes of the show. And I love the feel of the Marvel Universe kind of being incorporated into this. It felt neat, being, pre, superhero explosion, the superhero boom of all these movies that we have nowadays, the oversaturation. Back then, there wasn't a whole lot of superhero content, and it felt neat to have that, that world come to life in a small way. But I liked it a lot, and it was fun to laugh at some of those more silly scenes. But Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby are iconic. And of course, the great Stan Lee. I mean, you can't miss. And I even like the Daredevil suit. I remember beforehand, I saw some stills of the Daredevil suit, and it looked pretty crappy. But seeing it in action, it just reminded me of the Daredevil suit from the Netflix show, the black one that he wears. It wasn't the classic red Daredevil suit. It reminded me of that one. It doesn't have the eyes on it. It's just kind of like a black cloth that covers his face, or the upper half of his head, not his whole face. And then he has like the lower half exposed, just like the one we've seen from the comic books and then the Daredevil series on Netflix. What do you think about his suit in this movie?
It was awesome.
It was okay. Like I said, it looked worse in the photos, but once you see it in action, it just reminded me of that Netflix suit. But overall, I liked it. I give it 2 thumbs up out of 5. What would you rate it?
2 thumbs up.
Well, I mean, out of like, if we're numbering it, like out of 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, what would you rate it?
A 5.
You're always so positive about these movies. That's why I like that. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's a pretty solid movie. A little cheesy. It's a little outdated, but it's fun to watch. Lou Ferrigno, classic. Bill Bixby, classic. I thought, what's the guy that played Kingpin? Gimli?
John Rhys Davies.
Okay, yeah, I'll call him Gimli.
Should have shaved his head and beard off.
Yeah, I thought he did great, except for the look. The look wasn't his fault. He probably had prior commitments. Maybe he was doing another show or something, and he couldn't shave off his hair. Or maybe he just didn't want to. I don't know. But I think his personality was good as Kingpin. I don't know, that weird thing they had him wear with the sunglasses and the weird headset. That was a little weird. But I think he did pretty good as Kingpin. I think overall, I had fun with it, man. That's the most important thing. You have fun. You could check it out. I saw it for free on Tubi. So while it's still there, I implore everyone to go check it out.
Yep.
There's a new episode of She-Hulk coming out soon. I'm going to check that out. You need to go catch up on She-Hulk. I like it a lot.
If there's enough episodes.
Yeah. Right now, there's like 3 episodes out.
Yeah.
At the time of this, we're filming this podcast, so go check it out, man. It's a lot of fun. I want more Hulk content. Maybe in a future episode, we'll talk about the other Hulk movies. Maybe the Eric Bana Hulk. Ang Lee directing, it gets a little flack, but I like it a lot. I remember being obsessed with that movie when it came out. I still have my 7-Eleven Hulk cups with Eric Bana. They change with temperature. It's cool, kind of cool. And then we could talk about, of course, the Marvel Studios debut with what's his face?
Mark Ruffalo.
No, what's it? The first one in Marvel Studios.
Edward Norton.
Ed Norton. Mr. Ed Norton. And then of course Mark Ruffalo. It's funny they referenced the Ed Norton Bruce Banner in She-Hulk. There's one scene, I don't want to spoil anything here, but it's just a small little funny scene in She-Hulk where they're talking about because of course, She-Hulk is a lawyer and her cousin is Bruce Banner. And so she's talking about how she's going to represent Blonsky, who is the Abomination, in court. And she's kind of conflicted because he tried to kill her cousin. And so she's talking to Bruce on the phone saying, like, kind of trying to convince him. And he's all for it. He's like, you know what, go ahead and do it. It was so long ago that we fought. It's like I was a completely different person, literally. And then she, because they break the fourth wall a lot, and she looks at the camera and just kind of, gives a little smile. And it was funny. So they kind of referenced the fact that he was a different actor at one point. I thought that was brilliant. But yeah, go check it out. Go check out She-Hulk. And why don't you guys go check out our other videos? We have a video on Safe House with Patrick Stewart. We have a video where we eat a Twinkie Wiener sandwich. We have a video about
Office Space.
RoboCop, Office Space. Summer movies.
Samaritan?
We have a bunch of movies, videos out so far. So why don't you go check those out? You could check us out on Twitter at Men Watch Movies. We post a lot of funny things on there. We also have an Instagram. Just look up the Men Who Watch Movies. I forget what the handle is. I think it's at Men Watching Movies or something like that. I'll go ahead and post that picture of my Lou Ferrigno autograph. He's a cool guy. Would you agree?
Yep.
All right. I think this wraps it up for this episode of Men Who Watch Movies. We had such fun. It was such a fun
We had so much fun that we're going to have another episode another time. So.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on.
Definitely. My name is Alec.
And my name's DJ the Movie Man Wagner, currently known as the COE, the chairman of entertainment of the Men Who Watch Movies.
The title keeps getting longer. I love it. You should just keep adding on to it. We'll make a name tag about this big. We had fun today. Thank you for joining us. Please join us again. And as I say, like and subscribe. And we will catch you next time. And remember to keep on watching. Thank you, everybody.